Take a slow, easy breath and allow the day to become a little quieter. Let your shoulders soften while the sounds around you gently fade into the background. Tonight, we will wander through a peaceful forest and discover the hidden lives of trees. There is nothing you need to remember, and nowhere else you need to be. You can simply listen as the forest opens around you, calm, green, and still. At first, a tree may seem like one quiet individual standing alone in the soil, but beneath the ground, its life is connected to many other living things. Fine roots spread outward through dark earth, searching slowly for water and dissolved minerals. Around these roots, delicate threads of fungi form partnerships that may last for many years. These fungal threads are called mycorrhizae, and they extend far beyond the tree's own roots. They help trees reach nutrients hidden inside tiny spaces in the soil. In return, the tree shares sugars created by its leaves in the sunlight above. It is a quiet exchange between two very different forms of life. Across a forest, fungal networks may connect the roots of many trees and plants. Through these connections, nutrients and chemical signals can sometimes move from one organism to another. Scientists are still studying how complex these underground relationships truly are. The forest floor is not simply silent earth beneath the trees. It is a living landscape filled with roots, fungi, water, insects, and countless microorganisms. There is no need to hold on to every detail. You can let these facts drift past you like leaves moving along a gentle stream. Above the soil, every leaf is a small workshop powered by light. Inside its cells, chlorophyll captures energy from the sun and begins the process of photosynthesis. The leaf draws carbon dioxide from the air through tiny openings called stomata. Water arrives from the roots, traveling upward through narrow vessels inside the trunk. Using light energy, the tree combines water and carbon dioxide to create sugars. These sugars support the growth of new roots, branches, bark, flowers, and seeds. Oxygen is released into the surrounding air as part of this quiet process. A single leaf performs this work without sound, hour after hour. Throughout the growing season, across an entire forest, millions of leaves are gathering sunlight at the same time. The canopy becomes a broad green surface, exchanging gases with the atmosphere above it. Trees do not breathe exactly as animals do, but they constantly interact with the air. Their leaves take in carbon dioxide, release oxygen, and also lose water vapor. This movement of water vapor is called transpiration. It helps draw more water upward from the roots through the tree's internal vessels. The journey can be remarkable, especially in the tallest trees. Water may travel from deep soil to leaves, high above the forest floor. Much of this movement is powered by sunlight, evaporation, and the attraction between water molecules. There is no heart inside the trunk and no mechanical pump hidden beneath the bark. Instead, the tree depends on physical forces acting gently across great distances. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them close. The forest will continue growing quietly, whether you're watching or drifting toward sleep. Inside the trunk, the tree records something of its own history. Each growing season may add a new layer of wood beneath the bark. In many climates, these layers form the rings visible inside a cut trunk. Wider rings may reflect years when water, warmth, and sunlight supported strong growth. Narrower rings may appear during colder, drier, or more difficult seasons. Yet tree rings are not simple calendars that tell every story perfectly. Different species grow differently, and local conditions influence each tree in unique ways. Still, researchers can compare ring patterns across many trees to study past environments. Old wood may preserve traces of droughts, fires, storms, and changing temperatures. A tree standing quietly today may carry records from centuries before our own lives began. Its history remains stored in layers, hidden safely beneath living tissue. The bark surrounding the trunk is more than a rough outer covering. It protects the tree from drying air, physical damage, insects, and changing temperatures. Some trees have thin, smooth bark, while others develop deep ridges and thick plates. The appearance depends on species, age, growth, and the environment around the tree. Beneath the outer bark lies a softer layer that transports sugars through the tree. This tissue carries energy from the leaves toward roots and growing branches. Just inside it, new wood is slowly formed by a thin region of dividing cells. Most of this activity remains invisible from the outside. A tree can appear completely still while thousands of tiny processes continue within it. Trees also sense the passing seasons without calendars or clocks. Changes in daylight provide important information about the time of year. Temperature, moisture, and chemical signals within the tree also guide its seasonal responses. As autumn approaches, many trees begin withdrawing useful nutrients from their leaves. The green chlorophyll breaks down, revealing yellow and orange pigments that were already present. Some leaves also produce red pigments before separating from their branches. The tree then seals the base of each leaf, preparing for colder or drier months. When the leaf finally falls, it returns nutrients to the forest floor. Fungi, insects, and microorganisms slowly break it apart. What once gathered sunlight becomes part of the soil that supports future growth. In spring, stored energy helps new buds open before the canopy becomes fully active again. Each bud may contain carefully folded leaves formed long before they appear. The tree waits through winter, protected by small scales around these delicate structures. Then warmer conditions and longer days encourage the forest to become green once more. You can let the facts drift past you now. Imagine the soft forest floor, the hidden roots, and the branches resting beneath the night sky. Even in darkness, the forest is not completely inactive. Leaves continue exchanging gases. Cells continue using stored energy, and roots remain alive underground. Some flowers release stronger scents after sunset, attracting moths and other nighttime visitors. Small animals move between trunks, while owls listen from quiet branches. The trees themselves stand in darkness, surrounded by cool air and rising moisture. Without sunlight, photosynthesis pauses, but the tree's living cells continue respiration. Sugars made during the day are slowly used to support maintenance and growth. The forest at night becomes a quieter version of the daytime world. Its work continues beneath the silence, steady and almost invisible. And as you rest, you can imagine being sheltered beneath that calm canopy. Above you, leaves move gently in the darkness. Below you, roots and fungi continue their ancient partnerships in the earth. Nothing needs to be hurried in this forest. Everything moves according to water, light, seasons, and time. As the night deepens, the forest may seem quiet enough to hold a single thought. Yet trees are constantly responding to changes around them, using signals we rarely notice. Some of these signals travel through the air as invisible chemical messages. When insects begin feeding on leaves, certain trees release compounds from damaged tissues. Nearby plants may detect these compounds and change the chemistry of their own leaves. They may produce substances that make the leaves less appealing to hungry insects. This does not mean trees speak with thoughts or intentions like people. Their communication is slower, chemical, and shaped by millions of years of adaptation. A tree responds to light, moisture, injury, temperature, and the presence of other organisms. Each response becomes part of the forest's quiet web of information. Roots may also release chemicals into the soil around them. These substances can influence fungi, bacteria, neighboring plants, and tiny soil animals. The soil close to a root is known as the rhizosphere. It is one of the busiest living regions in the entire forest. Sugars and other compounds leak gently from roots into the surrounding earth. Microorganisms gather there, feeding on these materials and changing nearby nutrients. Some bacteria help make minerals easier for roots to absorb. Others protect plants by competing with organisms that might cause disease. The tree is never truly alone beneath the soil. Its roots are surrounded by communities too small for the human eye to see. There is no need to remember every name. You can simply imagine the soft earth alive with quiet movement. Not every relationship in a forest is peaceful or cooperative. Trees compete for light, water, nutrients, and enough space to spread their roots. A young seedling beneath a dense canopy may receive only a small fraction of daylight. It must grow slowly, using limited energy while waiting for an opening above. Sometimes a branch falls during a storm, allowing sunlight to reach the ground. The seedlings below may then begin growing more quickly. A single bright opening can change the lives of many plants. Some species are especially skilled at waiting in shade. Their leaves are broad and thin, designed to capture weak and scattered light. Other trees grow best in open spaces filled with direct sunlight. These faster-growing species may quickly occupy land after fire, wind, or disturbance. Over time, slower trees may rise beneath them and gradually change the forest again. A forest is not a finished picture. It is a long process of arrival, growth, change, decay, and renewal. Even a fallen tree continues to shape the life around it. Once resting on the ground, its wood begins holding moisture like a sponge. Mosses, fungi, insects, and seedlings may settle across its surface. The log becomes shelter for small animals and food for decomposers. As fungi break apart the wood, nutrients slowly return to the soil. A tree that once reached into the sky becomes part of the ground below. Nothing in the forest is wasted for very long. Materials move from leaf to soil, from soil to root, and from root to branch. You can let these facts drift gently through your thoughts. There is no need to follow where each one leads. High above the forest floor, seeds are preparing for their own journeys. Some are light enough to travel on the wind. Maple seeds spin like tiny wings as they fall through the air. Dandelion seeds float beneath delicate structures that catch gentle currents. Other trees place their seeds inside fruits that attract birds and mammals. After eating the fruit, an animal may carry the seed far from the parent tree. The seed may later fall onto new ground, surrounded by natural fertilizer. Squirrels and other animals also bury nuts for future meals. Some buried seeds are forgotten and remain hidden through winter. When spring returns, they may begin growing into young trees. In this way, an animal searching for food may quietly plant a future forest. Water carries other seeds along rivers, streams, and flooded ground. Some coastal seeds can float for long distances across salty water. Each species has evolved its own way of moving beyond the shadow of its parent. This journey can reduce competition and help young plants reach new habitats. Still, most seeds never become mature trees. Some are eaten, while others land where conditions are too dry or cold. A seed may wait in the soil until moisture and temperature become suitable. Inside its protective coat, A tiny plant remains folded and prepared. It contains the beginning of a root, a stem, and its first young leaves. When water enters the seed, its resting chemistry begins to change. Stored food provides energy before the new leaves can gather sunlight. The first root usually grows downward, guided partly by gravity. The young shoot grows upward toward light and open air. This small beginning may someday become a tree taller than a house. For now, it is only a fragile green stem beneath a forest canopy. If your breathing has become slower, you can allow it to remain easy. The forest asks nothing from you except quiet attention. As a seedling grows, it faces many seasons of uncertainty. Its roots must find water before the soil becomes dry. Its leaves must avoid being eaten before enough energy is stored. Snow, wind, animals, and falling branches may all shape its young form. A bent trunk may continue growing upward from a new angle. A damaged branch may be sealed off while healthy tissues remain active. Trees cannot move away from difficulty, so they grow around it. Their bodies preserve the shapes of past events. A curve in the trunk may reveal years of wind from one direction. A hollow may mark an old wound that became shelter for wildlife. Even dead branches can provide nesting places for insects and birds. The imperfections of a tree often become useful spaces for other lives. Woodpeckers create cavities while searching for insects beneath bark. Later, smaller birds may use those abandoned cavities as protected homes. Bats may rest inside cracks, where loose bark separates from the trunk. Beetles place eggs in decaying wood, beginning another cycle of transformation. One tree can hold many habitats, from its deepest roots to its highest leaves. The canopy offers flowers, fruit, shade, and shelter. The trunk provides pathways for climbing animals and surfaces for mosses. The roots stabilize soil and create spaces where water can enter the ground. Even the shadows beneath the branches influence which plants can grow nearby. Trees shape the temperature of the forest as well. Their leaves block strong sunlight and help keep the ground cooler. Water released from leaves can also cool the surrounding air. Beneath a mature canopy, temperature changes are often gentler than outside it. This protected climate helps many delicate organisms survive. Ferns, fungi, insects, and young plants depend on the forest's steady shade. During rain, leaves and branches slow the fall of water. Some drops remain briefly on the canopy before reaching the soil. Others travel down branches and trunks in narrow streams. Roots help hold the ground together, reducing the movement of soil. Fallen leaves create a soft layer that absorbs water and protects the surface. The forest becomes a living system for receiving, storing, and releasing rain. Some water returns to the atmosphere through leaves. Some enter streams, while some moves deep into the earth. Every drop follows a path shaped by roots, stone, slope, and soil. At night, mist may gather between the trunks. Tiny droplets settle on leaves, moss, bark, and spider webs. In some forests, this moisture becomes an important source of water. Trees standing in fog can capture droplets that later fall toward their roots. The air itself becomes part of the forest's water supply. You can rest with that image for a moment. Cool mist moves between the trees, while every surface quietly gathers water. Far above, the canopy disappears into darkness. Far below, roots continue pressing gently through the soil. The forest remains connected from air to leaf, from leaf to branch, and branch to root. Every layer supports another, though no single tree controls the whole. It is a community shaped by cooperation, competition, chance, and time. And within that community, each tree continues its slow and secret life. Somewhere deeper in the forest, An ancient tree may have been standing for many human lifetimes. Its oldest branches have watched countless winters arrive, soften, and disappear into spring. Ancient trees are not always the tallest or widest trees in the landscape. Some survive by growing slowly in difficult places where competition remains limited. A tree on a rocky slope may add only a thin layer of wood each year. Its twisted shape may reflect centuries of wind, cold, and shallow soil. Slow growth can create dense wood and reduce the energy needed for rapid expansion. In certain environments, patience becomes one of the most useful forms of survival. Some of the oldest known trees live where conditions appear almost too harsh for forests. They endure dry air, freezing nights, strong sunlight, and very little rainfall. Their roots follow narrow cracks through stone, finding small pockets of moisture below. Parts of an ancient tree may die, while other sections remain alive. A single strip of living tissue can still connect roots with healthy branches. The tree continues, not as a perfect form, but as a changing collection of living parts. You can let the thought pass gently through your mind. There is no need to measure such long stretches of time tonight. Older trees often become important homes for many forest creatures. Their thick bark develops cracks, shelves, hollows, and sheltered spaces. Fungi grow within softened wood, while insects travel through hidden tunnels. Birds may nest inside, cavities protected from rain and strong wind. Small mammals sometimes rest where broken branches have left deep openings. Lichens spread slowly across bark, combining fungi with microscopic photosynthetic partners. They need no soil and can gather moisture directly from air and rain. Some lichens grow so slowly that their expansion is almost impossible to notice. The surface of an old tree becomes a landscape within the larger forest. Its bark resembles cliffs and valleys when viewed at a tiny scale. Water gathers in narrow grooves, carrying dust, pollen, and fragments of leaves. Seeds may briefly settle there, though few find enough soil to grow. Mosses often hold moisture against the trunk after rainfall has ended. This damp layer provides shelter for mites, springtails, and other small organisms. To them, the bark is not an outer wall. It is an entire world of shadow, texture, and changing humidity. The tree beneath this living surface continues responding to the season. Its buds, leaves, roots, and inner tissues all receive information from the environment. Daylight becomes shorter or longer, with remarkable consistency each year. Trees can sense these changes through light-sensitive molecules in their cells. Temperature also shapes when growth begins, slows, or pauses. A warm afternoon alone is not always enough to awaken a winter tree. Many species require a period of cold before spring growth can begin normally. This helps prevent tender buds from opening during a brief winter thaw. When the correct balance of warmth and daylight arrives, stored growth processes begin again. Sap starts moving more actively through tissues within branches and trunks. Buds swell, protective scales loosen, and new leaves slowly unfold. The timing differs between species, locations, and even individual trees. A tree in a sunny clearing may open earlier than one in deep shade. Trees near buildings or warm streets may respond differently from those farther away. The forest does not enter spring in a single moment. It becomes green gradually, branch by branch, and species by species. If your eyes feel heavy, you can allow them to remain closed. The seasons will continue turning quietly without needing your attention. During summer, leaves adjust constantly to changes in light and water. Some leaves turn slightly to reduce exposure during the hottest hours. Tiny openings on their surfaces can close when water becomes scarce. Closing these stomata reduces water loss, but it also limits carbon dioxide intake. The tree must continually balance the need for growth with the need to remain hydrated. When soil dries, roots may produce chemical signals that travel upward. These signals help leaves respond before the entire tree loses too much water. Other signals travel downward from shoots toward the roots. The tree behaves as one connected organism, though its parts are separated by great distances. In a tall tree, the highest leaves may experience stronger sunlight and drier air. Lower leaves may receive scattered light beneath layers of branches. Their shapes, thickness, and internal structures can differ within the same tree. Leaves growing in shade are often broader and designed to gather limited light. Sunlit leaves may be smaller, thicker, and better protected from intense exposure. One tree can carry several different kinds of working environments in its canopy. Water must reach all these leaves through microscopic pathways inside the wood. The main water-carrying tissue is called xylem. It contains long connected vessels extending from roots toward the smallest branches. As water evaporates from leaves, it creates tension within these narrow columns. Water molecules cling together, allowing the pole to extend downward through the tree. It is a delicate system operating under pressure rather than being pushed by a pump. During drought or freezing weather, air bubbles can sometimes interrupt these water columns. Trees have different ways of limiting or repairing this damage. Some produce new vessels as the next growing season begins. Others use narrow pathways that reduce the spread of air bubbles. The structure of wood reflects the climate and challenges each species has experienced. Soft, fast-growing wood serves one kind of life. Dense, slow-foaming wood serves another. Both are solutions created through long relationships with local conditions. Trees also influence the air surrounding their leaves. Forests release large amounts of water vapor into the atmosphere. This moisture can contribute to cloud formation and patterns of rainfall. Trees also release natural compounds that create familiar forest scents. The smell of pine, cedar, or crushed leaves comes from complex airborne chemicals. Some compounds help protect tissues from insects or heat stress. Others may attract pollinators or signal nearby organisms. After rain, these scents often become richer and easier to notice. Moisture changes how chemical molecules travel through the cool forest air. The earthy scent rising from soil has its own mixture of sources. Bacteria, fungi, wet stone, bark, and decaying leaves all contribute. What we call the smell of a forest is really a quiet chemical landscape. Every breath contains traces of plants, soil, water, and living microorganisms. There is no need to hold on to every detail. You can let the forest air move softly through your imagination. As evening returns, leaves begin losing the warmth gathered during the day. Cooler air settles into low places between roots and fallen logs. Moisture may condense on leaf edges, forming small drops before dawn. Some trees slowly change the angle of their leaves at night. Their internal rhythms continue even without direct sunlight. These daily rhythms are influenced by light, temperature, and biological clocks within their cells. A tree does not sleep like a person or animal. Still, its activity changes between daylight and darkness. Photosynthesis pauses while respiration continues throughout living tissues. Growth may occur more strongly during certain nighttime conditions. Roots can remain active when the soil is warm and moist. New cells expand, stored sugars move, and damaged tissues are maintained. The apparent stillness of night hides countless quiet adjustments. Above the canopy, stars move slowly across the dark sky. Below, every tree continues balancing water, energy, growth, and repair. The oldest trees have repeated this rhythm through more nights than anyone could count. They have stood beneath unfamiliar constellations of weather, seasons, and passing lives. For now, you can rest beneath their branches in the quiet imagination of the forest. The bark is cool, the air is gentle, and the leaves are barely moving. As dawn approaches, the upper branches of the forest begin receiving the first pale light. The highest leaves brighten before the ground below has fully left the darkness. The forest canopy is not one flat green roof. It is made of overlapping branches, leaves, vines, gaps, and many layers of changing light. Some trees rise above their neighbors and receive sunlight from every direction. Others live beneath them, growing slowly in softer and more scattered light. Near the ground, young plants may survive on only brief moments of brightness. A moving patch of sunlight can become an important source of energy. As wind shifts the branches above, these bright patches travel across the forest floor. Leaves below must gather what light they can before the canopy closes again. Different layers of the forest support different communities of life. Birds may feed and nest among the highest branches. Insects gather around flowers, fruit, bark, and tender new leaves. Small mammals travel along branches that rarely touch the ground. Some animals spend nearly their entire lives inside the canopy. For them, the forest is not a collection of trunks rising upward. It is a connected world of pathways, shelter, food, and open air. Even leaves create small habitats of their own. Rainwater can collect where leaves join branches, forming tiny pools. These pools may hold microorganisms, insect larvae, and fallen grains of pollen. A branch covered with moss can carry more water than a dry branch. An old hollow may remain damp long after the surrounding bark has dried. The canopy is filled with small differences in warmth, moisture, wind, and light. There is no need to remember every layer. You can let the forest rise gently around you, quiet and green. Trees cannot run from animals that feed upon them. Instead, they protect themselves with bark, thorns, tough leaves, and chemical defenses. Some leaves contain bitter compounds that discourage insects and browsing mammals. Others become difficult to digest because of waxes, fibers, or natural toxins. A tree may increase certain defenses after its tissues are damaged. Young leaves are often especially well protected. They are soft, rich in nutrients, and costly for the tree to replace. Some trees produce tender leaves quickly before many insects become active. Others time their growth when hungry animals are already surrounded by other food. The forest is shaped by countless quiet strategies like these. No tree is perfectly protected, and no insect is perfectly successful. Each species continues adapting to the lives around it. Some insects become able to eat leaves that other animals avoid. Certain caterpillars can store plant chemicals inside their own bodies. These chemicals may then help protect the caterpillars from predators. The defense created by a tree becomes part of another creature's survival. The relationships of the forest are rarely simple. A leaf may feed an insect, which feeds a bird, which spreads a seed. A damaged branch may invite fungi, which soften wood for nesting animals. What appears harmful in one moment may create life somewhere else. Trees also respond to physical wounds in ways unlike animals. They do not replace damaged wood with new wood of the same kind. Instead, they grow around the injury and separate it from healthy tissue. Chemical barriers may slow the movement of fungi and decay. New wood gradually forms along the edges of the wound. Over many years, the opening may become smaller beneath layers of growth. Yet the old injury often remains hidden inside the trunk. The tree continues by containing the past rather than removing it. This is one reason hollow trees can remain alive for centuries. The center of an old trunk may decay while living tissues continue near the outside. Roots still send water upward through younger wood. Leaves still send sugars downward beneath the bark. The hollow space may become a home for birds, bees, bats, or small mammals. A tree can lose much of its inner wood and still continue growing. If your thoughts are becoming softer, you can let them wander. There is nothing you need to solve in this quiet forest. Some forests are shaped by fire as much as by rainfall. Although fire can damage trees, certain species have adapted to live with it. Thick bark may protect living tissues from brief, low flames. Branches may be held high above the ground where fire is less intense. Some cones remain closed until heat helps release their seeds. After the flames pass, sunlight reaches soil that was once shaded. Nutrients from burned plants return to the ground in ash. Seeds begin growing in the open space, where competition is temporarily reduced. Not every fire is the same. Some move slowly across the forest floor. Others reach the canopy and change the landscape for many years. The effects depend on weather, fuel, tree species, and how often fires occur. In some places, long periods without fire can allow dry material to gather. In other places, frequent burning prevents young forests from becoming established. Forests develop through relationships with disturbance. Wind, floods, insects, drought, and fire all create new openings. A storm may bring down an old tree that once shaded a wide area. The fallen trunk leaves the gap where sunlight reaches the ground. Seeds that waited in the soil may begin to grow. Shrubs and fast-growing trees may arrive first. Later, taller and slower species may rise among them. This gradual change in a plant community is called succession. It does not always follow the same path. Animals, soil, climate, and chance all influence what comes next. A forest may seem ancient and permanent, yet it is always becoming something new. Every clearing contains the beginning of another canopy. Every young tree carries the possibility of future shade. As trees grow, they store carbon inside their wood, roots, leaves, and bark. The carbon first enters through tiny openings in the leaves. It arrives as carbon dioxide from the surrounding air. Photosynthesis transforms it into sugars and other carbon-rich compounds. Some of this carbon is used quickly for energy. Some becomes part of cellulose, which helps form wood and strong cell walls. A growing trunk can hold carbon for many decades or centuries. Roots also send carbon into the soil through dead cells and released compounds. Fungi and microorganisms use part of this material. Some returns to the air through respiration and decomposition. Some remains within soil for long periods. The forest carbon cycle is not simply a matter of trees taking carbon from the atmosphere. Carbon is constantly moving between air, living tissue, dead wood, and soil. When a leaf falls, its carbon enters a new stage of the journey. When fungi soften a log, some carbon becomes part of fungal bodies. When an animal eats a seed, carbon moves again. The forest holds carbon, releases it, and rearranges it through countless living processes. You can let the facts drift past you now. Imagine each breath moving quietly between your body and the forest air. Trees and animals participate in the same broad exchange of gases. Animals breathe in oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Trees use carbon dioxide during photosynthesis and release oxygen as part of that process. Yet trees also respire, using oxygen within their living cells. They do this day and night, just as roots and fungi do. The forest atmosphere is shaped by all these exchanges together. During daylight, photosynthesis may strongly influence the air around the leaves. At night, respiration continues while photosynthesis pauses. By morning, changing light begins the cycle once again. The balance shifts hour by hour and season by season. In winter, a leafless forest exchanges gases differently from a summer canopy. Evergreen trees continue carrying leaves through colder months. Their needles are built to resist drying, freezing, and strong winter light. The waxy surface helps reduce water loss. Their narrow shape protects delicate tissues from cold and heavy snow. Even so, evergreen trees often slow their activity during winter. Frozen soil can make water difficult for roots to absorb. Sunlight may still reach the needles, while water remains locked in the ground. The tree must carefully limit moisture loss until warmer conditions return. Snow resting on branches can also become part of the forest's water supply. As it melts, water enters the soil slowly. This gradual release may support roots during early spring. Snow also insulates the ground from extreme cold. Beneath it, roots, seeds, fungi, and small animals remain protected. The winter forest may appear empty, but much of its life is simply hidden. Buds wait behind protective scales. Seeds rest beneath leaves and soil. Roots remain quiet in the dark earth. The next season is already present in these small sleeping forms. And as you listen, you can rest in the same gentle stillness. The canopy above is pale with early light. The trunks stand quietly, holding years of sunlight within their wood. Around them, the forest continues changing without hurry. Light enters through the leaves, water rises through the roots, and carbon moves through every living layer. As morning light spreads through the forest, each tree begins responding to its direction and strength. Branches grow toward open spaces where leaves can receive more sunlight. This tendency is called phototropism, a slow movement shaped by growth rather than muscles. Cells on one side of a young stem may lengthen more than cells on the other. Over time, the stem bends gently toward the brighter part of the sky. Roots respond to different signals. Gravity guides many roots downward, while moisture influences where smaller roots continue growing. A root does not know where water is in the way an animal might. Instead, its cells respond to changes in pressure, chemistry, and moisture within the soil. Tiny root tips explore new spaces as the tree grows. Just behind each tip, delicate root hairs increase the surface available for absorption. These structures are small and temporary, yet they gather much of the tree's water. They grow into narrow spaces between particles of sand, clay, and decaying material. Around them, films of water hold dissolved minerals needed by living cells. The soil may appear solid, but it contains countless pores filled with air and moisture. Roots must find a balance between these two. Too little water can dry their tissues. Too much water can remove the oxygen that roots need for respiration. Some trees are adapted to wet ground where oxygen is limited. They may grow shallow roots or specialized structures that reach toward the air. Other species send roots deeper into dry soil, following moisture far below the surface. The shape of a root system depends on the tree, the ground, and the water available. There is no need to picture every root clearly. You can simply imagine them spreading through the cool and quiet earth. Above the roots, spring flowers may begin appearing among the branches. Not every tree produces large or brightly colored blossoms. Many forest trees have small flowers that are easy to overlook. Some depend on insects to carry pollen between them, Their flowers may offer nectar, fragrance, color, or shelter. Bees, flies, beetles, moths, and other visitors move through the canopy. As they feed, grains of pollen attach to their bodies. When they visit another flower, some of that pollen may reach a receptive surface. This begins a process that can eventually lead to seeds. Other trees rely mainly on wind. They release enormous amounts of light pollen into moving air. Their flowers often appear before the leaves fully open. Without a dense canopy, pollen can travel more freely between branches. Wind-pollinated flowers do not need bright petals or sweet nectar. They depend instead on timing, abundance, and the movement of air. A breeze crossing the forest becomes part of the tree's reproductive cycle. Most pollen grains never reach another flower. Still, enough complete the journey for seeds to begin forming. Trees often flower at different times from year to year. Temperature, rainfall, stored energy, and daylight all influence the timing. Some species produce very large seed crops only every few years. During these seasons, the forest floor may become covered with nuts or seeds. The sudden abundance provides food for birds, insects, and mammals. More seeds are eaten, but more may also survive simply because there are so many. This irregular pattern is sometimes called masting. Several trees across a wide area may produce heavy crops during the same year. Scientists continue studying how trees coordinate these patterns so broadly. Weather may provide shared signals across the forest. The stored energy of each tree also affects whether it can produce a large crop. Making seeds can be costly. A tree must invest sugars, minerals, water, and protective tissues in each one. During a heavy seed year, it may have less energy available for other forms of growth. The following season may be quieter. If your thoughts begin to drift, you can allow them to go. The forest does not require you to follow every branch of the story. At the edge of the forest, life feels different from the shaded interior. More sunlight reaches the ground, and wind moves more strongly between the trees. Temperatures may rise faster during the day and fall more quickly at night. Plants growing there must tolerate greater changes in heat and moisture. Shrubs, grasses, vines, and young trees often gather in these bright spaces. Their dense growth can protect the darker forest behind them. The edge becomes a meeting place between different habitats. Birds may feed in the open and return to trees for shelter. Insects move between flowers and sunlight and leaves and shade. Seeds arrive from both the forest and the surrounding landscape. These edges can contain great variety, but they can also expose trees to drying winds. When forests become divided by roads or cleared land, more edge habitat is created. The remaining trees may experience conditions unlike those deep within an unbroken forest. Wind can reach their crowns more easily. Sunlight warms the bark and soil for longer periods. Moisture may leave the ground more quickly. A tree adapted to cool shade may struggle when suddenly exposed. The shape of an entire forest can influence the lives of individual trees. Deep inside a large woodland, humidity often remains more stable. The canopy slows wind and reduces direct sunlight near the ground. Fallen leaves protect the soil from rapid evaporation. After rainfall, water may remain available for longer. Some of this water moves downward through soil toward underground layers. Some travels sideways through slopes and appears later in springs or streams. Roots change these pathways by opening channels through the earth. When old roots die, the empty spaces may continue carrying water and air. Burrowing animals create additional pathways. Fungi and microorganisms help form soil structures that hold moisture. The forest floor is not only the place where rain lands, it is a living filter through which water slowly travels. As water moves, it carries dissolved minerals and organic material. Roots absorb part of this mixture. Other materials continue deeper or enter streams. Wetlands and forest soils can slow water after heavy rain. This reduces the speed at which it reaches lower ground. During dry periods, stored moisture may continue feeding nearby plants and waterways. The effect depends on soil depth, slope, rainfall, and vegetation. Every forest receives water in its own way. In mountainous places, clouds may pass directly through the canopy. Leaves capture droplets from mist, even when no rain is falling. In dry woodlands, trees may wait months between storms. Their leaves may be small, thick, or covered with wax. Some trees drop leaves during drought, rather than during cold weather. Without leaves, they lose less water through transpiration. When rain returns, new leaves can appear quickly. Seasonal rest does not always mean winter. For many trees, the most difficult season is the hottest and driest one. Their growth slows while they depend on stored resources. Roots continue searching through deeper and cooler soil. Some species can survive when branches die back, then regrow from the trunk or roots. Others store energy underground, where heat and dryness cause less damage. The visible tree is only part of the living organism. A large amount of its activity remains hidden beneath the surface. You can let the facts drift softly past you. Imagine cool roots resting beneath warm ground while the canopy waits for rain. When the rain finally arrives, dry bark darkens and leaves begin collecting droplets. Water follows the curves of branches toward the trunk. It gathers in cracks, moss, hollows, and folded leaves. Some reaches the ground as soft drops through the canopy. Some runs down the trunk and enters soil near the roots. The forest air becomes cooler, and familiar scents rise from the earth. Leaves that had curled during drought may slowly open again. Stomata. Respond to improved moisture, allowing greater exchange with the air. Photosynthesis becomes more active as water returns to living tissues. The whole forest seems refreshed, yet the change occurs cell by cell. A root absorbs a little more water. A vessel carries it upward. A leaf releases a small amount into the air. A flower holds a shining drop until it falls. Each movement is simple, but together they become the life of the forest. And as the rain softens around the trees, you can allow your breathing to soften too. The branches above are heavy with water. The soil below is dark and cool. Between them, every tree continues its patient exchange with earth, air, and light. After the rain has passed, the forest holds its moisture in countless quiet places. Drops remain beneath leaves, inside bark grooves, and along the edges of moss. For a while, every branch seems to shine with a softer kind of light. The trees do not remember rain as people remember an evening or a voice, yet their bodies can carry the effects of past conditions for many years. A season of drought may leave smaller vessels inside newly formed wood. An injury may change how future growth develops around the damaged place. A period of abundant water may allow wider rings and longer branches. In this way, a tree's present shape is partly created by its earlier environment. Some responses can also prepare a tree for conditions that may return. After water stress, certain cells may react differently during later dry periods. Chemical changes can influence how quickly leaves close their stomata. Roots may grow toward deeper layers where moisture remains longer. Scientists sometimes describe these lasting responses as forms of plant memory. This does not mean a tree recalls the past with images or thoughts. It means previous experiences can shape later growth and chemistry. The forest carries history through structure, timing, and living tissue. There is no need to hold on to every detail. You can let the ideas settle as gently as rainwater entering the soil. Around the trunks, the forest begins filling again with small sounds. Water falls from one leaf to another long after the clouds have moved away. A branch bends beneath a bird, then rises when the bird flies onward. Insects move inside bark, making sounds too faint for most people to hear. Wind passes through different leaves in different ways. Broad leaves create soft rustling waves. Pine needles produce a thinner sound, almost like distant water. Dry leaves remaining through winter may tap lightly against nearby twigs. A forest is never completely silent. Its sounds are shaped by air, water, animals, and the forms of the trees themselves. A hollow trunk can deepen the sound of wind. Dense moss can soften the fall of rain. A wide canopy can change how distant calls travel between animals. Trees do not simply stand inside the soundscape. Their bodies help create it. Even vibrations can move through wood and soil. An insect feeding within a stem may produce tiny movements along the plant. Roots, trunks, and branches carry mechanical signals when bent or damaged. Plants can respond to touch, repeated movement, and physical pressure. A young tree exposed to steady wind may grow shorter and stronger. Its trunk becomes better able to resist the forces it experiences. A sheltered tree of the same species may grow taller and more slender. The air leaves its influence in the shape of the wood. Snow does the same. Branches that regularly carry heavy snow may bend rather than break. Some conifers have flexible limbs that release snow as they lower. Their pointed crowns also reduce the amount that gathers above. In warmer forests, broad crowns may spread widely to gather light. Every tree form reflects a long conversation with local weather. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them remain closed. The forest will continue its quiet adjustments around you. High in the canopy, leaves support worlds that are almost invisible from below. Their surfaces are covered with microscopic bacteria and fungi. Some are harmless visitors. Others help protect leaves by taking up space that harmful organisms might use. Tiny insects feed on plant cells, pollen, fungi, or one another. Spiders stretch delicate threads between stems and leaf edges. Caterpillars rest along veins that match the shapes of their bodies. Birds search through these layers for food. A single branch may become a feeding ground, nursery, pathway, and shelter. The upper canopy receives stronger sunlight and faster wind. It may dry quickly after rainfall. Lower branches remain cooler and hold moisture for longer. Different organisms gather in each small climate. Some lichens prefer bright exposed bark. Others grow best in shaded places where humidity remains high. Certain orchids and ferns grow upon branches without taking food from the tree. These plants are called epiphytes. They use the tree for support, while gathering water from rain and air. Fallen leaves and dust may collect around their roots. Over time, small pockets of organic material form high above the ground. In tropical forests, entire gardens can grow within the canopy. ferns, mosses, orchids, and small shrubs may live on one old branch. Water trapped among them supports insects and other tiny creatures. The tree becomes the ground for another layer of forest. Yet carrying this life is not always without cost. The extra weight can strain branches during storms. Dense vines may cover leaves and reduce the light reaching them. Some climbing plants use trunks only as pathways toward the canopy. Others place roots into living tissues and take water or nutrients. The forest contains partnerships, competition, and slow struggles for space. None of these relationships remain exactly the same forever. A vine may grow rapidly after a canopy opening appears. A shaded branch may die when it no longer gathers enough energy. New shoots may emerge where greater light becomes available. The tree continually changes its architecture. Branches that produce more energy are supported. Branches that remain deeply shaded may eventually be abandoned. Before a branch falls, the tree may slowly seal its connection to the trunk. This helps protect living tissues after the branch separates. The fallen wood then begins another life below. Fungi arrive through cracks and exposed surfaces. Their fine threads release enzymes that break complex wood into simpler materials. Different fungi specialize in different parts of the wood. Some break down cellulose. Others can digest lignin, the substance that gives wood much of its strength. As the log softens, insects create tunnels through it. Water enters these openings and remains inside the decaying wood. Seeds settle in the damp surface. A young tree may eventually grow from the remains of an older one. These fallen trunks are sometimes called nurse logs. They lift seedlings above wet ground and competing plants. They hold moisture during dry weather. They also release nutrients slowly as decomposition continues. What appears to be the end of one tree becomes a beginning for many others. You can let the facts drift past you like mist through the branches. Nothing in this forest needs to end suddenly. Even standing dead trees remain useful for years. These trees are often called snags. Without leaves, their trunks receive more direct sunlight. Woodpeckers search for insects beneath loosening bark. They create holes that later shelter owls, squirrels, bats, and smaller birds. Broken tops provide resting places with wide views of the forest. Bees may build colonies inside dry hollows. Fungi continue spreading through the inner wood. Eventually, the trunk weakens and falls. The time between death and disappearance can be very long. A tree may support life while growing, while standing dead, and while resting on the ground. Its materials continue moving through the forest long after its leaves are gone. Minerals return to soil. Carbon passes into fungi, insects, and microorganisms. Rainwater enters spaces where solid wood once remained. The trunk slowly loses its familiar shape. Years later, only a raised line of darker soil may show where it fell. Nearby roots absorb some of the nutrients it once held. New trees grow into the opening created by its absence. The canopy closes again, though never in exactly the same form. Forests renew themselves through these overlapping lifetimes. A seedling begins while an ancient tree is still standing. A mature tree grows beside a trunk already becoming soil. Every stage exists beside the others. Growth and decay are not separate stories. They are parts of the same slow movement. As evening approaches again, the wet leaves begin to darken. The air cools, and small drops gather where the day's warmth is leaving. Trees stand across the slope in many ages and forms. Some are newly opened seedlings with only a few leaves. Others have held their place through storms, droughts, and long winters. Some are hollow, broken, leaning, or covered with moss. Still, each one remains part of the larger forest. You can rest within that gentle sense of belonging. Above, the canopy holds the fading light. Below, roots travel through soil enriched by countless earlier lives. Around every tree, quiet relationships continue without hurry. The forest does not ask anything to remain unchanged. It simply carries life forward, one season and one ring at a time. As twilight returns, the forest begins changing its colors before the sky becomes fully dark. The last warm light rests briefly on the highest leaves, while the ground cools beneath them. During these quiet hours, trees continue responding to the world in ways that remain almost invisible. Their leaves adjust to falling light, changing temperature, and the slow movement of evening air. As sunlight weakens, photosynthesis gradually slows. The green tissues of each leaf produce less sugar than they did during the bright afternoon, yet the tree remains active. Living cells continue using energy, moving water, repairing tissues, and maintaining the delicate balance within branches and roots. The transition from day to night is not a sudden switch. It is a gentle shift, passing through every layer of the canopy. Some leaves remain warm for a little longer because they held sunlight during the day. Others cool quickly where wind moves freely between branches. This uneven cooling shapes the small currents of air within the forest. Warm air rises from sunlit surfaces. Cool air settles into valleys, hollows, and shaded places near the ground. The forest creates its own quiet weather on a very small scale. There is no need to follow every change. You can simply imagine the evening air moving slowly between the trunks. Trees influence light as well as temperature. A dense canopy filters sunlight into soft green shades during the day. At sunset, the same canopy breaks the remaining light into narrow golden paths. The angle of the sun determines which branches glow and which disappear into shadow. For a few moments, the forest may seem divided between warm light above and cool darkness below. Then the last bright leaves fade, and the whole woodland enters the night together. Many trees prepare for darkness through internal rhythms that repeat each day. These rhythms are guided by biological clocks within their cells. Even in constant conditions, some plants continue patterns of opening, closing, growth, and rest. Light helps reset these patterns, so they remain connected to the natural day. The clock of a tree is not found in one single place. It emerges from chemical processes repeated across leaves, buds, stems, and roots. Some trees change the position of their leaves during the night. Certain species lower or fold them slightly. This may reduce heat loss, limit water loss, or protect delicate surfaces. The purpose differs between plants, and scientists continue studying these movements. What seems like stillness may be a carefully timed adjustment. Roots also follow daily patterns. The movement of sugars from leaves can influence activity underground. During the day, photosynthesis creates new energy-rich compounds. Later, some of these sugars travel toward roots and growing tissues. Fungi and microorganisms near the roots may respond to these changing supplies. The underground community experiences the rhythm of daylight even though no sunlight reaches it. The tree carries information from the bright canopy into the dark soil. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them close. The forest can continue around you without needing to be seen. In the soil, roots do more than absorb water and minerals. They also help anchor the tree against wind, rain, and the shifting weight of branches. A large tree may carry many tons of wood above the ground. Its roots spread outward, ripping soil and stone through a wide network. Contrary to a common image, most roots do not form a single deep shape beneath the trunk. Many remain relatively close to the surface, where oxygen and nutrients are easier to find. They may extend far beyond the edge of the canopy. Fine roots weave between rocks and around the roots of neighboring plants. Thicker roots provide support and transport. The entire system changes as the tree grows and the soil shifts around it. When wind presses against the crown, forces travel down to the trunk. The roots receive these forces and distribute them into the ground. A tree that experiences regular wind may develop stronger supporting tissues. Its roots may grow more on the side where stability is needed. The trunk can also become slightly wider in directions shaped by repeated stress. Growth responds slowly to pressure. Year after year, weather helps sculpt the tree's body. Wind does not simply move branches, it becomes part of the design of the wood. During storms, branches bend to release some of the force. Leaves turn, fold, and flutter, reducing resistance. Flexible twigs move rather than holding perfectly still. The tree survives not only through strength, but also through movement. Some species are especially flexible. Others depend on shorter branches, dense wood, or protected growing forms. No single shape is best for every forest. The architecture of each tree belongs to the climate where it evolved. You can let these thoughts drift softly past you. The branches above are moving, but the ground beneath you remains steady. After a storm, a forest may look changed. Small twigs cover the ground. Leaves collect in new places. A large branch may have opened a space in the canopy. Rainwater fills shallow hollows and darkens the bark, yet the forest immediately begins responding. Sunlight reaches plants that were shaded before. Insects arrive at exposed wood. Fungi enter cracks opened by broken branches. Seeds find patches of disturbed soil where roots can grow more easily. Change creates new opportunities within the woodland. Even lightning can become part of the forest story. A strike may split bark, damage wood, or travel through moisture inside the trunk. Some trees die quickly. Others survive with a long scar running down one side. The injured area may later become a hollow or sheltered pathway for small animals. The tree grows around the wound, adding new tissue along its edges. Years later, leaves may still appear above a trunk marked by the storm. A moment of intense energy becomes a shape carried through decades. Trees also respond to smaller injuries. A browsing animal may remove the tip of a young branch. A beetle may enter beneath the bark. Ice may crack a narrow limb. The tree seals damaged vessels and redirects growth around the affected place. New buds may open where the original growing point was lost. Several branches may form where only one grew before. The crown changes its shape and continues. A tree's form is partly a record of everything it has survived. This record is written in curves, scars, missing limbs, and unexpected new growth. It is not a perfect record, but it gives the forest its individuality. No two trees experience exactly the same light, soil, weather, or damage. Even trees of the same species can grow into very different forms. One may be tall and narrow within a crowded stand. Another may spread broad branches across an open field. One may lean toward a river. Another may twist around stone. Their shared biology meets different surroundings, creating unique living structures. As night becomes deeper, the forest loses most of its visible detail. Trunks become dark, vertical shapes. Leaves blend into a single, moving canopy. Small openings reveal the sky above. The stars appear distant, while the trees feel close and protective. Moisture gathers in the cooler air. The scent of bark and soil becomes stronger near the ground. Some animals begin moving through paths hidden during the day. Seeds, leaves, and small branches shift beneath careful feet. The trees remain where they have always been, providing shelter without movement. There is no need to hold on to every detail. You can let the forest become softer and less defined. Somewhere nearby, water moves through a narrow stream. Its surface reflects pieces of the dark canopy. Roots hold the banks, while fallen branches create small pools and quiet bends. Leaves entering the water begin another journey through the ecosystem. Aquatic insects feed on softened plant material. Fungi and bacteria continue the work of decomposition. Nutrients move downstream and support life beyond the forest. The influence of trees does not stop at the edge of the soil. It reaches into streams, wetlands, air, and distant landscapes. Branches shade the water, keeping it cooler during warm weather. Fallen logs create shelter for fish and other aquatic animals. Roots slow erosion and shape the path of flowing water. The forest and the stream develop together. Each changes the other over time, and as the water continues through the darkness, you can allow your thoughts to move just as gently. There is nowhere they need to stop. The trees are quiet around you. Their roots are steady beneath the ground. Their leaves are resting in the cool night air. Across the forest, every living process continues at its own patient pace. Water moves, sugars travel, cells divide, and old wood slowly returns to soil. The secret life of trees is not hidden because it is rare. It is hidden because it is slow, quiet, and always happening. Before sunrise, the forest rests beneath a pale sky that is only beginning to brighten. The air is cool, and the leaves hold the last moisture of the night. Somewhere above, the first birds begin calling from branches hidden in the darkness. The trees do not wake in a single moment. Their activity changes gradually as light returns to the canopy. Leaves begin receiving enough energy for photosynthesis to increase again. Stomata open carefully, allowing carbon dioxide to enter while water vapor escapes. The balance depends on temperature, humidity, wind, and the water available below. On a cool morning, leaves may lose moisture slowly. Later, warm sunlight can increase evaporation across the entire canopy. The tree responds continuously, adjusting countless tiny openings across thousands of leaves. No single leaf controls the whole tree. Yet together, they create a changing surface between the forest and the air. You can let these facts pass without holding them tightly. The forest will keep its rhythms, even as your thoughts become quieter. In spring, many trees begin with energy stored during earlier seasons. Sugars remain inside roots, trunks, and branches through the colder months. When conditions become suitable, these reserves support the first new growth. Buds open, flowers appear, and young leaves begin expanding toward the light. At first, these leaves are often soft and pale. Their tissues are still developing, and their protective surfaces remain thin. As they mature, they become stronger and more efficient at gathering sunlight. Their green color deepens as more chlorophyll forms inside their cells. Soon, the new canopy begins producing more energy than the tree uses. The tree can then invest in longer branches, wider roots, and developing seeds. Growth is not spread equally through every part. Some branches receive more light and become stronger. Others remain shaded and grow very little. The tree slowly places its energy where conditions offer the greatest return. This is not a conscious decision. It is the result of hormones, light signals, nutrients, and patterns of growth. Branches compete within the same crown, just as trees compete across the forest. A leaf shaded by many others may eventually receive too little energy. The tree may stop supporting it, allowing it to fall. By releasing unproductive leaves or branches, the tree preserves resources for healthier tissues. The forest floor receives these discarded parts and begins transforming them. Fungi soften the fallen material. Small animals tear it into smaller pieces. Bacteria continue breaking down what remains. The nutrients released below may later return to roots. A leaf can travel from branch to soil and become part of another leaf years later. There is no need to trace the entire journey. You can imagine the cycle turning quietly beneath the trees. During summer, the canopy may become so dense that rain arrives in stages. The first drops strike the highest leaves and branches. Some water is caught and held above the ground. Some evaporates again before it ever reaches the soil. As the rain continues, leaves become saturated. Drops gather at their tips and fall toward lower layers. Water moves from branch to branch, slowing as it passes through the canopy. By the time it reaches the forest floor, its force is often softened. This protects delicate soil from the direct impact of heavy rain. Leaf litter absorbs more water and spreads it across the surface. Roots and fungal threads create pathways where moisture can enter. The forest holds part of the rainfall, then releases it gradually. Hours later, drops may still fall from branches beneath a clear sky. Days later, deeper soil may continue supplying water to roots. The memory of the storm remains in the moisture hidden underground. Trees also change the path of snow. Evergreen branches catch flakes before they reach the ground. Some snow remains in the canopy and later falls in soft clumps. Some melts and runs down trunks during warmer afternoons. Deciduous trees without leaves allow more winter light and snowfall beneath them. The seasonal shape of the canopy changes the conditions on the ground. In spring, melting snow carries water slowly into cold soil. Roots may begin absorbing it before leaves have fully opened. The tree prepares for growth while the forest still appears almost bare. If your breathing has become slow, you can leave it that way. There is nothing in this forest that needs to be hurried. As summer begins to fade, trees gather information about the coming season. Shortening days provide one of the most dependable signals. Cooler nights add another message. Growth begins slowing before winter actually arrives. New shoots stop lengthening. Fresh wood starts becoming harder and more resistant to cold. Buds form around delicate tissues that will wait until the following spring. Some trees produce protective chemicals inside their cells. These substances help reduce damage when temperatures fall. Water content may also change within vulnerable tissues. The tree prepares gradually, long before the first frost appears. Leaves begin sending valuable nutrients back toward branches and roots. Nitrogen and other materials are removed before the leaves are released. Chlorophyll breaks down, and the green canopy slowly changes color. Yellow pigments become visible. Orange tones deepen across the branches. In some species, red pigments form as sugars remain trapped inside leaves. The forest becomes brighter for a while, even as its activity begins slowing. Eventually, thin layers of cells form at the bases of the leaves. These layers weaken the connection between leaf and branch. A light wind may then complete the separation. The leaf turns as it falls, moving through air toward the ground. Thousands may fall in a single afternoon. Millions may gather across a large forest. The canopy opens, and sunlight reaches places hidden throughout summer. The fallen leaves create a soft blanket above roots and seeds. They reduce sudden changes in temperature. They hold moisture and protect the soil from heavy rain. As they decay, the materials return to the living system below. Autumn is not only a season of loss, it is also a careful transfer of resources from one stage to another. You can let that thought settle softly. Nothing valuable in the forest disappears all at once. During winter, the tree's visible growth becomes very slow. Yet the organism remains alive beneath bark and soil. Roots may continue functioning when the ground is not frozen. Cells still require energy for maintenance. Stored sugars support the tissues through long periods without leaves. The tree's metabolism becomes quieter, but it does not completely stop. Inside buds, future leaves wait in miniature forms. Some buds also contain flowers that will open months later. The next spring is already prepared inside the winter branches. Cold weather helps maintain this resting state. Without enough winter cold, some species may open unevenly in spring. The tree depends on both warmth and cold to keep its seasonal timing. Snow can protect shallow roots from the lowest air temperatures. A layer of falling leaves adds further insulation. Beneath this covering, soil life continues slowly. Fungi remain among roots. Small animals rest inside tunnels and decaying wood. Seeds wait for the signals that will begin germination. The winter forest is quiet, but it is filled with stored possibilities. When light lengthens and temperatures rise, the cycle begins turning again. Water becomes easier for roots to absorb. Buds swell, flowers open, leaves unfold into the new season. Some trees repeat this cycle for hundreds of years. Each year is different, yet the broad rhythm remains familiar. There are wet springs, dry summers, early frosts, and unusually mild winters. The tree responds to each season with the structures it has already grown. It cannot begin again with a new body. It must continue using old roots, old wood, and living tissues near the surface. Every new ring forms around all the years that came before. The tree grows outward while carrying its history inside. There is no need to remember every season. You can let them pass like years within the hidden rings of wood. The forest around you is becoming brighter now. Morning light reaches the trunks and moves slowly down their bark. Drops of water shine briefly along the edges of leaves. Roots remain deep in darkness, connected to the cool soil below. Branches rise toward the open air. Between them, the tree holds a quiet bridge from earth to sky. Water travels upward. Sugars travel through living tissues. Leaves gather light. Roots exchange materials with fungi and soil. Season after season, these movements continue without sound, and as you rest beneath the canopy, you can allow your thoughts to become just as quiet. The forest does not need you to understand every process. It is enough to feel the slow rhythm of trees continuing around you. Deeper in the morning forest, sunlight begins moving across the bark in narrow, quiet bands. Every trunk receives a different pattern, shaped by neighboring branches and the changing sky. For trees, light is both energy and information. It tells leaves where space is open and where other plants are already growing. A young branch that reaches into bright air may continue extending. Another branch, shaded for too long, may slow and eventually stop. In this way, the crown gradually takes shape around the available light. The tree does not grow evenly in every direction. It responds to the small opportunities surrounding it. A gap between two larger trees may become a pathway toward the sky. A fallen branch may suddenly bring light to leaves that waited in darkness. Growth follows these openings slowly, sometimes over many years. There's no need to watch every movement. You can let the branches find their own quiet way toward the light. Inside growing shoots, plant hormones help guide direction and form. One of these hormones is called auxin. Its uneven distribution can influence how stems bend and roots grow. When light reaches one side of a young stem, growth may increase on the shaded side. The stem then curves gently toward the brighter space. Gravity guides roots in another direction. Special cells help them sense which way is downward. The root tip turns through the soil while the shoot rises above it. From the beginning, a tree grows between two worlds. One part follows darkness, moisture, and gravity. The other follows light, air, and open space. Between them, the trunk becomes a long connection. Water moves upward through the wood. Sugars move toward roots, buds, fruit, and growing tissues. Signals travel in both directions. A change in the soil can influence the leaves. A change in the leaves can influence the roots. The tree is spread across height and depth, yet it remains one living system. If your thoughts begin to wander, you can let them wander gently. The forest contains many paths, and none of them need to be followed completely. Near the ground, young roots move through a world very different from the canopy. There is little light, but there is moisture, mineral matter, and constant biological activity. Root tips are protected by soft caps of cells. These caps help them press between soil particles without damaging the growing tissue behind them. As roots move, they release slippery substances that reduce friction. They also leave behind cells and organic material that feed nearby microorganisms. The path of a root becomes a narrow zone of exchange. Bacteria gather around it. Fungal threads cross it. Tiny animals feed on the organisms living there. The tree changes the soil simply by growing through it. At the same time, the soil shapes the root. A stone may divide one root into several directions. Dry ground may slow growth. A moist pocket may encourage a cluster of fine roots. Roots rarely form perfect symmetrical patterns. They respond to the uneven world beneath the surface. Some roots join closely with fungi. Others grow beside the roots of neighboring trees. In certain species, roots may naturally fuse when they press together. This can create direct connections between individual trees. Water or other materials may sometimes move through these joined tissues. Such connections remind us that forest boundaries are not always clear. One trunk may look separate above ground. Below, its roots may touch, overlap, and interact with many others. The forest is made of individuals, but also of relationships. You can let that idea rest lightly. There is no need to decide where one tree ends and the larger forest begins. As the day grows warmer, leaves begin releasing more water into the air. Each tiny opening contributes only a small amount. Across a large canopy, the total can become significant. Water rises from soil, passes through roots and wood, and enters the atmosphere. This movement links the forest to clouds and weather. Some of the water released by trees later returns as rain. In vast forests, moisture may be recycled many times as air moves across the land. The atmosphere carries water from one group of trees toward another. Forests can help maintain humid conditions far beyond a single trunk. Yet this exchange depends on healthy leaves and available soil moisture. During drought, trees may close their stomata to reduce water loss. Photosynthesis then slows because less carbon dioxide can enter. Growth becomes more difficult. The tree must choose, through automatic biological responses, between gathering carbon and conserving water. If the drought continues, some leaves may be released early. Small branches may die. Roots near the dry surface may stop growing. The tree redirects its limited resources towards survival. Different species follow different strategies. Some avoid drought by dropping leaves. Some endure it with deep roots. Others store water in thick tissues or reduce the size of their canopies. There is no single way for a tree to live through dryness. Each solution reflects the climate of its history. After rain, the balance shifts again. Roots absorb more water. Stomata open more freely. Leaves cool as water evaporates from their surfaces. New growth may begin if the season still allows it. The tree responds not to one permanent condition, but to a world that is always changing. There is no need to hold on to every detail. You can let the rain come and go in your imagination. Trees also shape the wind that passes through a landscape. A forest canopy slows moving air. Branches divide strong currents into smaller streams. Leaves create friction and turbulence. Near the ground, the air may become much calmer than it is above the treetops. This protection helps reduce water loss from soil and delicate plants. It also creates sheltered places for insects and animals. At the forest edge, wind behaves differently. The first trees receive the strongest force. Their trunks may lean, and their crowns may grow unevenly. Behind them, the interior trees experience softer air. A line of trees can protect fields, homes, and other habitats from drying winds. Such planted rows are sometimes called windbreaks. Their usefulness comes from the same structure that protects a natural forest. Roots hold the ground, trunks interrupt the air, leaves slow and redirect the wind. The effect is created by many trees standing together. One tree can provide shade. A forest can change the climate close to the earth. Beneath the canopy, sunlight is gentler. Humidity is often higher. Temperatures rise and fall more slowly. These conditions allow species to live there that could not survive in the open. Mosses remain moist. Ferns keep thin leaves. Amphibians find cool shelter beneath logs and stones. Fungi spread through damp wood and soil. The forest creates the environment that supports its own community. At the same time, that community supports the trees. Birds spread seeds. Insects pollinate flowers. Fungi help roots gather nutrients. Decomposers return dead material to the soil. Every layer is connected to the others through quiet exchanges. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them close. You do not need to see the forest clearly for it to remain around you. Somewhere in the canopy, a flower is becoming a fruit. After pollination, tissues around a developing seed begin to change. The fruit may become sweet, colorful, or strongly scented. These qualities attract animals when the seeds are ready to travel. Before that moment, unripe fruits are often hard or bitter. Their chemistry discourages animals from eating them too early. As the seeds mature, the fruit softens, sugars increase, colors become brighter. Green fruit may turn red, purple, yellow, or orange. Birds and mammals notice these signals. They carry the seeds away from the parent tree. The tree cannot walk, yet its descendants can travel. Some journeys are only a few meters. Knives extend across rivers, valleys, and distant islands. A seed carried by wind may rise high above the canopy. A seed carried inside a bird may cross an entire landscape. A nut buried by a squirrel may wait beneath snow until spring. The future forest begins with these uncertain movements. Most journeys do not succeed. A seed may land on stone, deep water, or dry ground. It may be eaten before it can grow. It may germinate beneath too much shade. Still, trees produce enough seeds for a small number to survive. From those few new roots enter the soil. New leaves open toward the light. The long cycle begins again. The oldest trees in the forest once began as seeds small enough to hold in one hand. Their first roots were delicate. Their first leaves were close to the ground. They survived seasons that could easily have ended their growth. Over time, their trunks widened, their roots spread, their branches entered the canopy. What seems powerful now began in a very fragile form. You can rest with that quiet transformation. The forest does not rush from seed to ancient tree. It moves through years, one season at a time. By late afternoon, the sunlight begins lowering again. Shadows lengthen between the trunks. The canopy turns warmer in color. Leaves continue their work. Though the brightest hours are ending, water still moves upward. Sugars still travel through living tissues. Roots still exchange materials with the dark soil. Above and below, the tree remains connected through thousands of small processes. None of them are loud. None of them need to be noticed to continue. And as the forest prepares for another evening, you can allow your thoughts to become quieter too. The light is soft now. The branches move only slightly. The hidden life of the trees continues, patient and unhurried. As evening settles once more, the forest begins gathering its colors into deeper shades of green and blue. The spaces between the trunks become softer, while the canopy holds the final traces of daylight. At this hour, trees continue exchanging energy with the living world around them. Some of that energy remains stored within wood, roots, and developing seeds. Some passes outward through fallen leaves, nectar, fruit, and small amounts of sugar released into the soil. The forest is held together by these quiet movements of energy. Sunlight enters through leaves and is transformed into forms that living cells can use. From there, it moves through roots, fungi, insects, birds, and countless other organisms. A caterpillar feeding on a leaf carries a little of the tree's stored sunlight within its body. A bird eating that caterpillar carries the same energy farther through the forest. When the bird rests upon another branch, the movement continues in a new form. Nothing remains in one place forever. Energy passes onward while matter is used again and again. There is no need to trace every path. You can let the forest carry each small exchange without your attention. Some trees support entire communities through the food they produce. Flowers provide nectar and pollen during spring. Leaves feed insects through summer. Fruits and nuts appear later, offering energy before colder months arrive. Even bark can become food for animals during difficult seasons. Deer may browse young shoots. Porcupines may feed upon the inner bark of certain trees. Woodpeckers search beneath rough surfaces for insects hidden within the wood. Each animal approaches the tree in a different way. To one creature, it is shelter. To another, it is food. To another, it is a safe place from which to watch the forest below. The tree itself continues balancing these demands with its need to grow. It produces far more leaves than will remain untouched. It forms seeds, knowing that most will never become mature trees. Its life depends not on protecting every part, but on creating enough to continue. Some trees form close relationships with particular animals. A flower may open at the same time its main pollinator becomes active. A fruit may ripen when migrating birds are passing through the region. The size of a seed may suit the beak or mouth of one animal especially well. Over many generations, plants and animals can shape one another. The tree changes in ways that improve seed dispersal or pollination. The animal changes in ways that improve feeding or movement through branches. Neither species follows a plan. Small differences simply continue when they support survival. Over long periods, these differences create remarkably close relationships. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them close. The details may become softer now, like shapes disappearing into evening mist. Not all seeds depend on animals or wind. Some trees use gravity alone. Heavy fruits fall beneath the parent crown. They may roll down slopes, enter streams, or be moved later by animals. Other seed pods dry under sunlight until tension builds within their walls. When the pod finally opens, seeds are thrown into the surrounding air. The movement is brief, but it may carry them beyond the parent's deepest shade. In certain forests, seeds remain enclosed until fire changes the conditions around them. Heat opens protective cones or breaks the resting state of buried seeds. The new seedlings then enter a landscape filled with light and mineral-rich ash. What appears to be destruction can also create the conditions for renewal. The meaning of an event depends on the species experiencing it. Deep shade protects some young trees. The same shade prevents others from growing. Frequent fire harms certain forests. Other forests become less diverse when fire disappears for too long. Nature does not follow one simple rule. Each woodland has developed through its own history of climate, soil, disturbance, and living relationships. A cool northern forest may grow slowly and store much of its material in soil. A tropical forest may recycle nutrients rapidly through leaves, roots, and microorganisms. A dry woodland may remain open, with widely spaced crowns and deep-reaching roots. A coastal forest may live with salt, fog, and strong wind. Yet every forest depends upon the same broad elements. Light enters from above. Water moves to air and soil. Carbon passes between living organisms and the atmosphere. Minerals travel through roots, bodies, and decaying material. Trees gather these elements into wood, bark, flowers, and leaves. Then, slowly, they release them again. You can let the facts drift past you. The forest does not need to be simple in order to feel peaceful. In the fading light, bark becomes one of the most noticeable parts of a tree. Without bright leaves drawing attention upward, the trunk reveals its textures. Some bark is pale and smooth. Some breaks into deep ridges and dark plates. Some peels away in thin curls that collect around the base. The outer bark is formed mostly from cells that are no longer living. They create a protective layer between delicate tissues and the surrounding world. As the trunk widens, older bark must stretch, split, or fall away. The pattern depends on how each species grows. Bark thickness can influence how well a tree survives heat and fire. Thick bark slows the movement of damaging temperatures toward living tissue. Light-colored bark can reflect part of the sun's energy. Smooth bark may shed vines, insects, moisture, or patches of lichen more easily. Rough bark creates shelter for many small forms of life. Tiny spiders rest inside cracks. Insects place eggs beneath loose pieces. Seeds, pollen, and dust gather in narrow grooves. Rain travels down these surfaces in winding paths. The trunk becomes a vertical landscape connecting canopy and ground. Some animals move along it every day. Ants follow chemical trails between nests and sources of food. Beetles emerge from small openings in the wood. Tree frogs rest where moisture remains between leaves and bark. At night, bats may cling beneath peeling sections protected from wind. The outer surface of one tree can support hundreds of quiet journeys. Beneath the bark, another kind of movement continues. Sugars produced in the leaves travel through living tissue called phloem. This tissue lies close to the outer part of the trunk. It carries dissolved sugars toward places where energy is needed or stored. Young roots receive part of the supply. Growing buds and developing fruit receive another part. The direction can change depending on the season. In spring, stored sugars may move upward to support opening leaves. During summer, newly made sugars may travel downward toward roots. The tree is filled with flows that shift across the year. There are no wide rivers inside the trunk. The movement occurs through microscopic cells and narrow tissues. Still, across a mature tree, enormous amounts of material can be transported. Water rises through xylem. Sugars move through phloem. Hormones and chemical signals travel between distant tissues. Every branch remains connected to the roots that support it. Every root depends upon leaves. It may never directly reach. There is no need to picture this perfectly. You can simply imagine a slow current moving through the dark wood. Sometimes, damage to the bark interrupts these connections. If a complete ring of living bark is removed, sugars cannot easily reach the roots below. The upper tree may remain green for a time because water still rises through the wood, yet the roots gradually lose their energy supply. This shows how essential the thin living layers beneath the bark truly are. A great trunk may appear to be solid wood, but much of its active transport occurs near the outer surface. The newest wood carries water. The inner bark carries sugars. Older wood, deeper inside, often becomes less active. It may provide strength, store certain compounds, or gradually become hollow. The living tree surrounds its own earlier growth. Each year, a new layer forms around the past. The oldest parts remain closest to the center. The youngest wood lies nearer the bark. In this way, time is arranged across the width of the trunk. A journey inward becomes a journey backward through seasons. Yet the exact history is difficult to read without care. Branches, injuries, drought, competition, and local weather all influence the rings. A single narrow ring may reflect many different pressures. Researchers compare many trees before drawing conclusions about the past. One tree offers a story. A whole woodland provides a larger pattern. If your thoughts have started to wander, you can let them continue. There is no need to return to any detail you may have missed. As darkness spreads, the trees begin blending into the larger forest. Individual leaves become harder to see. The canopy appears almost continuous above the ground. Yet every tree still holds its own history, shape, and network of relationships. Some roots are shallow beneath moss. Others follow cracks deep between stones. Some crowns are full and healthy. Others carry broken limbs and open hollows. The forest contains strength, damage, youth, age, growth, and decay together. No single condition defines the entire woodland. It is the mixture that creates its quiet richness. Near the forest floor, fallen leaves continue settling into deeper layers. Fresh leaves remain close to the surface. Older material below becomes darker and less recognizable. Fungi spread through the layers as pale threads. Small animals carry fragments downward. Rain dissolves certain materials and moves them through the soil. Gradually, the clear shape of each leaf disappears. Its substance becomes part of the ground. Roots later absorb minerals released through this process. New leaves form from materials that once belonged to older ones. The forest renews itself without returning to exactly what it was before. Each cycle contains traces of earlier cycles, and as the last light fades between the branches, you can allow your thoughts to fade gently too. The roots below remain connected to the soil. The leaves above rest in the cool air. Within every trunk, quiet currents continue through the night. The secret life of trees carries on, slowly and patiently. Beneath the stillness, night has settled fully across the forest, and the last colors have disappeared from the western sky. The trunks stand quietly in darkness, while the canopy moves with the faintest touch of wind. For a while, the forest seems to have stopped changing. Yet beneath this calm surface, its hidden life continues in every direction. Roots remain in contact with cool soil and thin films of underground water. Fungal threads continue spreading through spaces too small for roots to enter. Living cells within trunks and branches keep using the energy gathered during daylight. The forest is resting, but it is never completely still. There is no need to hold on to every detail now. You can let the facts become softer, like distant leaves moving beyond the darkness. Some of the oldest roots beneath the ground may have followed the same pathways for centuries. They have grown around stones, crossed layers of soil, and met countless communities of microorganisms. As fine roots age, some stop absorbing water and gradually disappear. New roots form elsewhere, exploring fresh spaces within the earth. the underground shape of a tree is always changing. It expands where moisture and nutrients are available. It retreats from places that become dry, damaged, or crowded. Fungi may continue using old pathways after roots have gone. Water may collect inside the empty spaces they leave behind. The soil remembers the presence of roots through channels, organic material, and altered structure. Even after a tree has fallen, these hidden pathways may remain for years. Nearby plants can send their roots into them. Rain can travel through them toward deeper layers. The earlier tree continues influencing the forest without being visible. Above the ground, old branches leave their own traces. A branch that once held thousands of leaves may eventually fall and open a gap. That gap changes the temperature, moisture, and light below. Young plants respond almost immediately. Their leaves receive more sunlight. Their roots gain more energy. A seedling that waited quietly for years may begin growing toward the opening. One tree's absence becomes another tree's opportunity. Forests are shaped as much by empty spaces as by living wood. A clearing invites light. A hollow invites shelter. A fallen log invites moss, fungi, insects, and new roots. Nothing remains empty for very long. If your eyes feel heavy, you can let them stay closed. The forest will keep filling its spaces gently around you. Some trees grow close enough for their crowns to touch. Their branches meet above the ground and move together during wind. Yet in certain forests, narrow spaces sometimes remain between neighboring crowns. These patterns are sometimes called crown shyness. The exact causes may differ between species and locations. Branches may be shaped by repeated contact, light competition, or patterns of growth. From below, the spaces can resemble thin rivers of sky. They divide the canopy into separate green islands. Even where the trees stand closely together, small boundaries may remain. The forest contains connection without becoming completely uniform. Every tree responds to its own position. One receives morning light. Another receives the warm sun of late afternoon. One grows beside a stream. Another stands on dry ground only a short distance away. Their lives share the same forest, but their conditions are never identical. This variety helps create many different habitats within one woodland. Some insects prefer trees growing in bright clearings. Certain mosses remain on shaded trunks where moisture lasts longer. Birds choose branches based on height, cover, food, and safety. Fungi grow where the wood, temperature, and humidity suit them. The forest becomes more diverse because its spaces are uneven. A perfectly uniform forest would offer fewer ways to live. Differences in age, shape, light, and decay create opportunities. An ancient hollow tree provides something a young tree cannot. A dense young grove offers shelter unlike an open stand of older trunks. A fallen tree supports forms of life that living branches do not. Every stage contributes its own quiet usefulness. The forest is not simply a group of healthy trees. It is a community of beginnings, endings, and everything between them. You can let that thought pass gently through you. There is no need for the forest to remain perfect in order to remain alive. As the hours pass, the temperature continues falling. Cool air moves downhill and gathers in low places. The highest branches may remain slightly warmer than the ground below. Leaves exchange heat with the open night sky. Moisture begins settling across exposed surfaces. By morning, dew may cover grasses, moss, spiderwebs, and low leaves. These small drops can support life even when no rain has fallen. In dry places, nighttime moisture may become especially valuable. Some plants and insects depend on it during long periods between storms. The tree's bark may also absorb or hold a small amount of moisture. Mosses and lichens become softer as the air grows humid. Fungal tissues continue working inside damp wood. The darkness creates conditions different from those of the day. Cooler temperatures reduce water loss. Nighttime humidity allows certain organisms to become active. Roots may continue growing when the soil remains warm. Some cells expand more easily when water is plentiful and sunlight is absent. The tree uses different hours for different parts of its life. Daylight gathers energy. Night supports maintenance, transport, growth, and repair. The rhythm is never divided perfectly. Instead, one activity fades while another becomes stronger. Like the seasons, the daily cycle is a gradual turning. There is no sharp edge between day and night within a living tree, only changing light, changing chemistry, and changing movement. There is no need to stay awake for the rest of this journey. You can let the words move farther away whenever you are ready. Across the forest floor, fallen seeds wait beneath leaves and shadows. Some will remain dormant through cold months. Others require fire, moisture, or changing temperature before growth can begin. A seed can wait without appearing active. Its cells remain protected inside a hard outer coat. Stored food rests beside the tiny root and folded shoot. When the correct signals arrive, water enters and the seed begins to change. Enzymes become active. Stored materials are broken into forms the young plant can use. The root emerges first and enters the soil. The shoot follows, lifting itself toward the light. This beginning may happen beneath a layer of fallen leaves. The young stem must push through darkness before reaching open air. Its first leaves begin gathering sunlight as soon as they unfold. From that moment, the seedling becomes part of the forest's larger exchange. It takes carbon from the air. It gathers water and minerals from the soil. It feeds insects and microorganisms. Its roots meet fungi and neighboring plants. Though still very small, it has entered the same ancient system as the tallest tree. Years may pass before it reaches the canopy. It may remain in shade for most of its early life. Its trunk may grow only slightly during each season. Then a branch may fall above it. Light may arrive. Growth may suddenly become faster. The forest rewards patience in ways that cannot be predicted. A tree may wait decades for one opening. An ancient tree may continue living after most of its trunk has become hollow. A seed may travel far before finding the place where it can grow. The secret life of trees unfolds across timescales much longer than a single night. Yet every part of that life is built from small moments. One leaf opens. One root grows. One drop of water rises. One grain of pollen reaches a flower. One seed settles into soil. The forest becomes vast through countless quiet events. None of them seem important alone. Together, they create canopies, rivers, soils, habitats, and changing air. Trees shape landscapes without moving from where they began. They slow rain and wind. They cool the ground. They release moisture into the atmosphere. They hold carbon within wood and soil. They provide food, shelter, shade, and pathways for other living things. They also depend on those living things in return. Fungi help roots. Animals carry seeds. Insects pollinate flowers. Microorganisms release nutrients from fallen material. The forest survives through relationships rather than through trees alone. No single organism creates the whole system. Each life participates for a time and then passes its materials onward. You can let the facts drift away now. They have brought you through roots, leaves, bark, rain, wind, and quiet seasons. The forest around you is almost completely dark. Only a few pale stars can be seen through small openings in the canopy. The stream continues moving somewhere beyond the trees. Its water passes roots, stones, and fallen branches on its way through the night. The air is cool and gentle. The soil beneath the leaves holds the day's remaining warmth. Around you, ancient trees stand beside young seedlings. Their lives are separated by centuries, yet connected through the same earth. Water moves between them. Fungi grow among their roots. Leaves fall from one generation and nourish the next. The forest carries its history forward without needing to speak. Every ring of wood holds a season that has already passed. Every bud contains a season that has not yet arrived. The living tree stands quietly between memory and possibility. And now, there is nothing more you need to follow. You can allow the forest to become distant, soft, and almost dreamlike. The branches will continue moving above you. The roots will remain steady below. Water will rise through the wood when morning returns. Leaves will open again toward the light. For now, the trees are resting beneath the night sky. You can rest with them. Let the details fade. Let the forest grow quiet. And let sleep arrive slowly, like darkness settling gently among the trees.